It's incredible to have with us Rabbi Shlomo Katz. Please give him a huge round of applause. Please give a big round of applause for Rabbi Dov Ber Pinson. Are you ready? Baruch haba to Rav Moshe Weinberger. Nala Shevet, please be seated.
For thousands of years, whispers of hidden wisdom have reverberated through our people. Secrets said to hold the keys to creation itself. So I traveled all over the world to ask the same 18 questions to 40 different mystics.
What is God? How would you describe this phenomena, this entity? Rabbi Moshe Weinberger.
I don't think we view anyone as being the same.
If God is really infinite, he could have figured out a better way, don't you think?
Ultimately, they were all addressing one question. What is Jewish mysticism?
So what is Jewish mysticism?
I don't know, it's mystical.
Good Yom Tov L'chaim! Baruch Ata Adonai Eloheinu Melech HaOlam Shehakol Nihiyeh Bidvaro. Such an incredible schus to be here with the incredible Tsama family. Give it up for Tsama for this incredible evening. We're very lucky to know that Eitan Katz, the word Eitan is the same otiot, the same letters as Tanya. And he unfortunately was on the plane ready to come here and wasn't able to be here. But there's another incredible Katz, which has the same letters as Moshel Hashem, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu controls the entire world. And it's so special to have our dear friend Rabbi Shlomo Katz here leading tonight. It's amazing to have with us, all the way from America, teaching Torah around the world, author of over 60 different books, going to be Fabrengen with us tonight, teaching us Torah. Please give it up for Rabbi Dov Ber Pinson. And of course, Moreinu v'Rabbeinu for so many of us. It's so special to have Rabbi Moshe Weinberger. Please give him a huge round of applause. What's going to happen this evening is we're going to be transported in time and space. We ask you to please put your phones onto airplane mode and to really be here on this journey together, because we can create something magical here tonight. There's a very dear friend of ours for the four of us on stage and for many of us in the audience. Our dear friend Michael Englander was not able to be with us, and moments ago his auntie, who's the matriarch of his family, passed away just a few moments ago, and therefore we're dedicating this evening to her, Chaya Rivka Bat Rezel Yenta, her neshama shedam naliyah. The parasha we find ourselves is one moment where we see one of the 4 episodes in the entire Torah of the Shalshelet, of what Ibn Kaspi describes the zigzag note. Talks about this place that goes back and forward, what Rabbi Sachs describes as the music of ambivalence. And we see it on the word Vayima'en that Rebbe has shared so many shirim about. That Yosef HaTzadik is being seduced. He's in the lowest of the lows after coming from the highest of the highs. He's been thrown into a pit. He's been sold into slavery, and he's in a palace with Potiphar's wife. And she seduces him. And he then, says the Gemara in Sota, goes into a different space. He goes to a different place. He has a vision of his father. He has a vision of the breastplate of the Kohen Gadol, says the Gemara in Sota. And they ask him, is it true that your stone on the breastplate shouldn't be there from one mistake? And of course, V'yama'en, he refuses. And Jewish history changes at that moment for all of us, and an inspirational opportunity for every single one of us everywhere we are in our lives. But one thing I was thinking about is, how can you be in this place and somehow be thinking about the breastplate of the Kohen Gadol? How does he transport himself to there? And of course his father, Rabbi Yaakov, had such a phenomenal influence on him. But there is such a strength of character to be able to stop wherever you are in this physicality and to go lifnai v'lifnim, to go into the inner chamber and to be able to have this vision of the Kohen Gadol. We're going to be going out of this room after this evening. And we're going into the rest of the world. And what I want to invite every single person to take upon themselves right now, and every single person here to realize, is that wherever you are physically is not where you need to be in the pnimius. It's not where you need to be spiritually. Rav Moshe Weinberger gave a shir 2 weeks ago to the Share Fellows, and he talked about how he found Rabbi Shimon. And he talked about going into the Idra, and going into this chamber, and going into this space where it's completely different. No matter what's going on around the world, you are in that place right now. Over the next hour or two, we have the capacity to go so deep, to reach so high. Mamish, shake the heavens. And through that, we can literally have an impact, not just on our own neshamas, not just our children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, but all of Klal Yisrael. To have 2,000 people in a room learning Torah together. To have 2,000 people in the room singing together. This is the opportunity. And I ask you to take a moment tonight, when we're hearing the incredible Torah, when we're sitting in beautiful nigunim, when we're holding hands and dancing together, to go into the idra, to go into the inner chamber, to take a still frame in your mind of this moment and to carry it with you every single step of your life. This is where the magic is born. This is where these incredible things are created. On the yahrzeit of the Maggid of Mezrich, on the day that the Alter Rebbe was liberated, and also Yud Tes Kislev at 5786 this year can be monumental for all of Klal Yisrael. We're going to watch a short idea about what Pnimiyut is. But before we do anything else, we need to be mechin ourselves. Rav Shlomo Shlita is going to be leading us in a nigun. And at that time, go deep, like Yosef HaTzadik. Hold on despite the music of ambivalence, despite any shalshelet, that when there's downs, there's also ups. And always we're yearning to the highest of the high.
Stronger harmony for everyone.
Adai me me ko,
just your beautiful voices. Let's go. I
אתם יודעים, אומרים על הדור שלנו שזה דור רדוד, שטחי, דור שסובל מהפרעות קשב קשות. אבל אנחנו רואים שהלהיט בכל מקום זה פנימיות. אנשים מחפשים את הפנימיות, את מה שמעבר. השאלה שנשאלת היא, מהי בעצם פנימיות התורה?
פנימיות התורה היא הרובד הנסתר והעמוק שמאחורי הדברים. מה שקורה בתוך הנשמה, בעולמות העליונים. מה שמתחולל כשאני מקיים מצווה. הפנימיות נותנת לנו חיות, התלהבות ושמחה. וזה חיוני במיוחד בדורות שלנו. הדורות האחרונים שלפני ביאת המשיח. כך גילה לנו הבעל שם טוב הקדוש שנסתלק לפני כ-280 שנה.
האמת היא שהיה שלב מוקדם יותר בגילוי הפנימיות. לפני הבעל שם טוב, הארי הקדוש גילה את הקבלה כ-150 שנה קודם לכן. בין הארי הקדוש לבעל שם טוב היו עוד גדולי ישראל שהעמיקו בתורת הקבלה. אחד הבולטים שבהם הוא המהר"ל מפראג, ששיבץ רעיונות של פנימיות התורה בספריו המעמיקים, וגם הוא תרם מאוד להפצת הפנימיות. תורת הבעל שם טוב מבוססת על תורת הקבלה של הארי זיכרונו לברכה והמקובלים הקדמונים, ולמעשה הוא שהנחיל את פנימיות התורה להמוני העם.
אם נחפש את השורש של הפנימיות, נמצא אותה כמובן הרבה קודם, לפני כ-2000 שנה, אצל רב שמעון בר יוחאי, רשב"י, מחבר ספר הזוהר, שהוא היסוד לכל תורת הקבלה ופנימיות התורה. רגע, אז כולם גילו את הפנימיות? רשב"י, הארי, הבעל שם טוב? בואו נעשה סדר.
הכל כמובן מתחיל במתן תורה. במעמד הר סיני ניתנה כל התורה כולה, כולל פנימיות התורה. והאמת היא שבמתן תורה היה השיא של גילוי הפנימיות, כמו שכתוב שנפתחו השמיים וכל ישראל ראו את המרכבה העליונה.
אם כן, למה היה צריך לחכות לרבי שמעון בר יוחאי ולאריזה ואז לבעל שם טוב? כי העולם עדיין לא היה ראוי לגילוי שכזה. אמנם בשעת מתן תורה התגלתה הפנימיות, אבל אחר כך היא נעלמה ונשארה מוסתרת אצל יחידי סגולה. רבי שמעון בר יוחאי התחיל ללמד ולגלות את הפנימיות, אבל גם הוא לא גילה אותה לכולם, אלא רק לחבורה מיוחדת של תלמידים בעלי מדרגה רוחנית גבוהה.
גם בדורות הבאים עדיין שלטה התפיסה שהדור איננו ראוי לגילוי סודות התורה. ולכן, מימות רב שמעון בר יוחאי ועד האריזל, שזה משהו כמו 1300 שנה, עדיין הייתה הפנימיות נחלתם של יחידי סגולה בלבד. נכון, יהודים למדו זוהר, אבל רק מעטים הבינו את עומקו. היו מקובלים קדמונים גם לפני האריזל, אבל הם היו באמת יחידי סגולה.
ואז, לפני כ-450 שנה, בא הארי הקדוש ואמר שעכשיו מצווה לגלות זאת החוכמה. והפנימיות התחילה להתגלות ולהתפשט יותר. הארי גם כתב זמירות מיוחדות לסעודות השבת, שבהן משולבים רעיונות עמוקים ביותר מתורת הקבלה. הזמר בשבוכין לליל שבת, הסדר לסעודוסה ליום השבת, וכמובן את הניגון בני היכולה לסעודה שלישית. הניגון ששרנו אותו ממש עכשיו, עם הלחן המיוחד והמכוון של בעל התניא.
הפריצה הגדולה הייתה בגילוי תורת החסידות על ידי בעל שם טוב הקדוש. החסידות נתנה את הפנימיות לכל עם ישראל. תורת החסידות היא גילוי של הפנימיות לא רק לבעלי מדרגה גבוהה ועבודה פנימית, אלא לכל יהודי ממש. זה החידוש הגדול של הבעל שם טוב.
ואחריו בא רבינו הזקן, בעל התניא, והלביש את רעיונות החסידות בחוכמה, בינה ודעת. ראשי תיבות, חב"ד. כדי שכל אחד ואחת יוכלו להבין בשכלם, בחוכמה, בינה ודעת שלהם, את העומק הנפלא של פנימיות התורה.
גילוי פנימיות התורה הוא הכנה לגילוי האמת הפנימית של הבריאה כולה בגאולה השלמה. וכמו שענה המשיח לבעל שם טוב הקדוש בעליית הנשמה שלו להיכלו של משיח, כששאל אותו, מתי קראתי מר? השיב לו שזה יהיה לכשיפוצו מעיינותיך חוצה.
Vino, ma דמים ומרמה לבי יחצו לא יחצו ימי אנשי דמים ומרמה לא יחצו ימיהם
Nala Shevet, please be seated. For the main event of the evening, to be able to hear words of Torah from Rebbes of this stature is like being able to connect Mamish to Har Sinai, if we can only tap in. After that incredible singing and dancing, this is the moment to sit down, to open your heart, to open your neshama, and to welcome one of the most incredible teachers, mashpim, and gdolim of our generation, the Marida Asra and founding Rav of Eish Kodesh. Please put your hands together for Rav Moshe Weinberger Shlita.
Many wonderful chaverim here. Mishpacha here. And I want to wish each and every one of you a good yontiv, a year, thank you, that's filled with the iris of Torah, pnimius of Torah. I want to thank my dear friend, Rav Benji. Michael couldn't be here. The chaver from Share. My dear friend, Rav Dov Ber, Rav Shlomo. To thank the chaver man who's playing. The people playing over here behind me somewhere. To thank everybody. And I also want to thank Rav Eitan. Rav Eitan was so heartbroken that he couldn't make it. The plane didn't take off. And his voice is so sweet and so beautiful, but it's not loud enough to be heard all the way from there. It's so special that Rav Shlomo is here with us. And the truth is that Rav Shlomo is a Baal Nagina, and he could also Fabrengen to speak to you. You don't need to hear from me. And Rav Dov Ber is here. But to share a few words, the covered the Yontiv, the covered the Baal HaHilula, the Mezut Shemagit Schusi Gerleinu, the Balatanya Dal Terebe Schusi Gerleinu. The Rebbe Ashab, in a number of places, wrote about this day. He spoke about, in a number of letters. And in one place, the lashon that he used was, B'yoyim hazeh mischadshim ha'oris v'achiyas shel teres ha'chasidus ba'olam. B'yoyim hazeh mischadshim ha'oris v'achiyas shel teres ha'chasidus ba'olam. He didn't say nischadshu. We all know that when the Alter Rebbe left, when the Alter Rebbe was freed from prison, we know that the world was no longer the same world before Peterburg and after Peterburg. Not just in the way that the Alter Rebbe shared Chassidus, but when the Alter Rebbe left, he took with him the Baal Shem HaKadosh, and the Mezut Shemagid, and Himela, Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, and Ari HaKadosh, and Tzadikim. They all left together with him. But the Rebbe Ashab was careful to say in this particular place, B'yoyim hazeh mischadshim ha'oris v'achiyas. The same way that the Bnei Yissaschar, Schusil, and other tzaddikim explain, the bracha that we're going to be saying soon, by Chanukah, B'yom Haim, B'zman hazeh, B'zman hazeh, that whatever was B'yom Haim, on this day, is opening up B'zman hazeh. Today, now, tonight, Yud Tes Kislev. So b'yom hazeh, mischadshim ha'oris v'achiyas, shel teres ha'chasidus ba'olam. When we just look around and see what's going on. I said this last year, and last year wasn't half the size of the tzibur that's here now. And next year we should be Zaychim Mitzvah to be with Fabrengen with Mashiach and Mitzvah Hashem. But it's going to be 10 times. And we see this is happening. What Tzomah is, and I want to thank Rav Moshe Shilat and all the unbelievable people from Tzomah, Rabbi Shalev, and all the people who work so hard. It's not just today, this whole week and throughout this whole time. To try to somehow address this tzimah, this thirst that we're all feeling, that Am Yisrael is feeling. You know, there was a bar mitzvah bacher, Rabbi Menachem, and for his bar mitzvah, before his bar mitzvah, he went to have yichidus with the Tzemach Tzedek, Susi Elena. And can you imagine what kind of achonis you have to make to be alone with the Tzemach Tzedek? And he fasted, he was a child, he was a bar mitzvah boy. He fasted 3 days to prepare to come into the Tzemach Tzedek. And when he came into the Tzemach Tzedek, he was standing there shaking. And it was dark in the room, and the Tzemach Tzedek had on his table some leichter, some candelabra, some candles on his table, otherwise it was dark. And the boy was standing there shaking. And the Tzemach Tzedek stood up, and he took the candles, and he walked over the candles, and he held the candles in the face of the child, in Menachem Hanish's face. And he gave him the following bracha. And I want each and every one of us to hear this bracha. It's for us, it's for now. He said to him, Rabbi Dov Ber, you correct me if I'm wrong. You know, I'm sure all the stories I might be saying it wrong. But the way I heard it is that he said to him, Arichas Yom V'Shanim. Arichas Yom V'Shanim. You should have long days and long years. Yiddish Tag, you should have Jewish days and Chassidish Nacht and Chassidish nights. Jewish days and Chassidish nights. V'chazakta v'hayisa le'ish. V'chazakta v'hayisa le'ish, it says in Pasuk. V'chazakta v'hayisa le'ish, you should be strong. V'hayisa le'ish. Yiddish Tag, Jewish days and Chassidish nights. V'chazakta v'hayisa le'ish. So when the Milchama started, right after the Milchama started, Shmini Atzeres, 2 years ago. So there was a kinus in our neighborhood in the 5 towns. And all the shuls came together in the Young Israel. We all came together in the largest shul there in the neighborhood. And I was asked to talk a little bit. And at the time, everybody here remembers there was such a pachat, such a sadness, such a pachat. And I began that night with the beginning, with Bereishis Bar Elokim es hashamayim v'ha'aretz, v'ha'aretz ha'isa sovavo v'choshech al pnei sahayim, v'ruach Elokim ha'cheves al pnei hamayim. There was such a darkness, v'ha'aretz ha'isa sovavo, such confusion, sovavo v'choshech al pnei sahayim, until finally v'yem Elokim yi'or. The Rebbeinu Shalom said there should be light. And it said in the name of the Heilige B'ditshe V'Schusi Aleinu that the very beginning of the Torah is a tefillah. The very beginning of the Torah is a tefillah. It's a tefillah for any Jew who has found himself in his or her own life in a state of tohu, vohu, choshech, and sahom. It's a tefillah for Am Yisrael. When she finds herself, as we did, when she finds herself in a world, and still In certain ways, it's even darker. Of Tohu, Vavayu, and Choshech, and Sahayim. What's the tefillah? Vayomer, a Jew cries out, Elokim, Rabbi Shalom, I'm begging you, Yehi Or, I can't stand the darkness anymore. Vayomer, Elokim, Rabbi Shalom, I'm begging you, Yehi Or, that there should be light. And when Hashem Yisbarach hears Jews screaming and begging and crying for light, so the Rebbeinu Shalom says, Yehi Or, Vayhi Or, Vayhi Or. So let's try to imagine ourselves this night of Yud Kislev, the time of the Geula of the Alter Rebbe, which Mimel, of course, is the Geula of Mizit Shemag and the Baal Shem HaKadosh, and for Rabbi Shimon, and for the Ari HaKadosh, and for Moshe Rabbeinu, and for all Olamas. To try to imagine that Tzemach Tzedek standing in front of me and you, and we're shaking. We're like that little boy, the little bar mitzvah bacher in the room, in the darkness of that room. And that the Tzemach Tzedek is looking at us in the eyes, and the Alter Rebbe is looking at us in the eyes, and the Baal Shem HaKadosh is looking at us in the eyes and saying to us, Yiddish Tag, live Jewish lives. But what we're seeing now, especially before Mashiach comes, that a Jewish life is so sweet and so beautiful, but there's something else that's needed before Mashiach comes. It's called Chasidische Nacht, Chasidische nights. The Chazakte V'Yisrael Ish, we need to understand what does that mean. The Oris and the Chiyas of Chasidus. What does it mean, Chasidische nights? And to add a little bit of a Breslever sugar to this. One of the tzaddikim, one of the chassidim of Breslev, Ephraim, in the Einik Shabbos, writes that the words Chazakte V'Yisrael Ish, that Leish, you can guess what this, that the IC is Leish is what? Ein shum yeush lo'olam. Chazakte V'Yisrael Leish, Leish is ein shum yeush lo'olam. Rabbeinu Sha'ag, ein shum yeush lo'olam. Ein yeush lo'olam klal. That if a person is able to connect, as we're trying to, before Mashiach comes, what's happening is in Mahapecha, this room, this whole building, this whole event, this whole week, this whole world is now screaming. Is crying out, Yehi Or. Rebbe Shalom, we're asking you for light. And the light is the light of the Butza Nahir Kadisha, the Holy Baal Shem HaKadosh, the light of the 7 days of creation, the light of Teres HaChasidus, the Oris Nechias of Teres HaChasidus. Chasidische Nacht. Many times in the Sichas, the Rebbe Schussel spoke about, obviously, the connection between Yud Kislev and Chanukah. Chanukah, Yud Kislev is Samach Nira. It's going to be Chanukah in a few days, Bez Hashem. And the Rambam's Loshen by Chanukah, because Chanukah is the menorah that the Tzemach Tzedek was holding, even though it wasn't the Chanukah menorah, but it's the light that the Tzemach Tzedek was holding. The Rambam's Loshen by Ner Chanukah is extraordinary. The Rambam writes, Mitzvahs Ner Chanukah, Mitzvah Chaviva Hi Ad Ma'od. Mitzvahs Ner Chanukah, Mitzvah Chaviva Hi Ad Ma'od. We see this, that the mitzvah of Ner Chanukah is dear to us, it's beloved. Mitzvahs Ner Chanukah Chaviva Hi Ad Ma'od. Now we know that Chanukah candles is not a deraisa. It came at the time of the Bayis Sheni. Chanukah is what we're holding on to, is the end. Before Mashiach comes, the light of Chanukah. And yet we see that the Rambam's Loshen is Mitzvahs Ner Chanukah Chaviva Hi Ad Ma'od. So what's the Chavivus of Ner Chanukah? I explained this in Shul many years ago. The Chavivus of the Mitzvah of Ner Chanukah, because you know, the Swarm tell us, the Kadmonim talk about this a lot, that every mitzvah of the Tag mitzvahs corresponds to a different part of who we are, to the kaimas ha'adam, the eyes, the ears, the ramach and the shasa. Every mitzvah, mitzvahs I say and loisa I say, corresponds to a different part of us. But the Sfarim tell us that when it comes to Ner Chanukah is Ner Hashem Nishmas Adam, Ner Havaya Nishmas Adam, meaning that the Ner Chanukah, which is not a deraisa, but the Ner Chanukah is Ner Hashem Nishmas Adam. Whereas all the other mitzvahs I say and lois I say correspond to different parts of us, pieces of us. But the etzem, the neshama v'yid, the ner havaya, the ner Hashem nishmas Adam, is the ner Chanukah. Why? Now everybody here also knows that the Pnei Yeshua asks, and others talk about this is a big tumult in all the Achronim, that Al Pi Halach, everybody knows that it really wasn't even necessary to find the Pach Shem, and it wasn't necessary to find that oil because of the din of Tumah Hutra B'Tziva. So Pnei Yeshua asks, what's the whole inyan of this? Why was it necessary? Why was it necessary to have this miracle of the Pach Shem, which is the miracle of Chanukah, which is the miracle of Chassidus? Why was it necessary? Al Pi Halacha, we didn't have to wait. We could have lit, the Kahanim could have taken care of it without waiting for the Shem to be prepared. We didn't need the Nes of Chanukah. So Rabbi Nosson speaks about this. Rabbi Nosson speaks about this in Likutei Halachos, and other tzaddikim talk about the inyan of Batzayir Chaftali. Very, very simply put, the best way that I've been able to share this with Chevra is by telling the story of a little bit of a story about my father, Zichron Levacha. Now there are many Chevra here that knew my father. One of the Chaverim sitting over there has actually a son that's named after my father. It was the first boy that was named after my father, B'Tzalel. The first boy was named after my father, Zichron Levacha. And my father was a Hungarian Jew, a survivor of Mauthausen. I'm sure you heard of that place. And there's a story that I share with the Bar Mitzvah Bachim. So I can't hold up a menorah in front of a boy's face. I'd probably get arrested for doing something like that. And I don't have the words, nor do I have the toenail of the Tzemach Tzedek to give over that v'chazakta v'hisalish, like I shared with you last year when the Lubavitcher Rebbe gave me chizik when he shook his arm at me. V'chazakta v'hisalish. He didn't say the words, but I'm still feeling it. But what I do with the Bar Mitzvah boys in shul is the following. Since my father was nifter, I take out my father's tefillin and I unwrap them and I show them to the Bar Mitzvah boy, who until that point when I was saying some Torah was trying to be polite. But when he sees this old pair of tefillin, and I show him that the tefillin bag says on it, the date is, the Tafresh says 1936, Tafresh Tzadivav, a very old and beaten tefillin bag, and I tell them the following. Now listen, Chevra, I'm sure many of you know this story, and it got around. While my father was alive, I was careful not to tell this Barabim, because my father, it would get back to him, he'd be very upset with me. And I hope that he's meichel me now, because I'm trying to be mefarsem d'neis. So I'll pirsum minisa. I hope he's okay with it. That my father, when it was time for me to put on tefillin the first time, so I had a brand new pair of tefillin that we bought in Williamsburg from a famous sofer, Baron Pollack, and I was all excited to go to shul to put on tefillin for the first time, a month before Bar Mitzvah. And my father took out his tefillin. Now we were going to go to shul together. My father took out his tefillin, and he told me, I want you to put on my tefillin first. And I was not pleased with that. I didn't understand. Why should I put on an old pair of tefillin? I have my beautiful, fresh tefillin. And why should I put on an old pair of tefillin? That's Aleph and Beis. I'm a lefty. I said to my father, Daddy, I'm a lefty. My father said, you're also not 13. Just do what I tell you. Just put on your left arm. It's okay. I put the tefillin on and Shayad and Sharosh. And there are only a few times I can count, really just on maybe 3-4 fingers, that I ever saw my father get very worked up, very emotional. And I had never seen him like this. I'm his only son, putting on tefillin. And my father told me, say Kriya Shema. And I said Kriya Shema. And then my father told me the following. He said to me that when it came time for me to part from my father, meaning my grandfather, who I'm named after. So the young men who were able to go to the army, slave labor, were being taken on a train. In the end, most of them ended up in concentration camp. They were being taken on a train. And the parents and the grandparents, a short time later, were taken to Auschwitz. And my grandfather went with my father to the station. They were allowed to go and take him to the station. And my grandfather, that my grandfather told my father that this is the last time we're going to see each other in this world. And my father told this to me while I'm sitting there with his tefillin on. My father said to his father, why are you saying that? We heard the Americans are not far, the Russians are not far, the war is going to be ending. But my grandfather just said, we're not going to see each other in this world. But you make sure that not to miss one day of tefillin. No matter what happens to you, don't miss a day of tefillin. And we'll see each other when you're 120. And that was the last time my father saw his father. And to this day, we don't know how my father wore those tefillin in concentration camp. There was a museum not far from here that wanted to buy the tefillin many years ago. They heard about the Mauthausen tefillin. Because not only did my father put on these tefillin, which was a risk, if you were caught with tefillin, they would kill you on the spot, but there were hundreds and hundreds of Jews who would take turns waiting to put on these tefillin to say Shema and not to get caught, not to get killed. So I'm listening to this. And my father said to me, that I was wearing the tefillin every day in concentration camp. Again, we don't know how he did that. And we asked many times, and he said, a Jew has to find a way. He found a way. My father said that it was not long before the liberation that it was after a terrible day of back-breaking slave labor, which was a nace to survive each day. And they were lying there on the planks in the bunk, and all of a sudden, very late in the night, the Germans, Yamach Shemam, come into the bunk screaming and yelling and hitting them with dogs and telling them to undress, undress, fast, undress, undress. My father thought that was it, they were finished. He didn't know what to do with his tefillin, if they see the tefillin. So he didn't know if they're going to kill him right now or later. So he took off his shmatas and he wrapped the tefillin inside. And they were hitting them to go outside. And when they came outside, my father said there was a huge pit. And there was a fire coming out from this pit. And there was some sort of a bulldozer there. And all the Jews had to throw their things onto the floor. And the bulldozer was pushing everything into the fire because the Germans wanted to disinfect that place because the Jews were covered with lice. Everything was filled with lice. And the Germans, Yimach Shemam, were afraid to get sick. So they weren't killing the Jews yet, these Jews in the bunk. They were taking them away to spray them somewhere, to spritz them with some disinfectant. But all of their shmatas were being burned, and the entire bunk was burnt down. So my father said to me, when I'm sitting there with his tefillin on that month before my bar mitzvah, my father said to me that at that moment, I felt that this is the end. Until now, I felt that Hashem Yisbarach was with me, because I heard my father saying to me, put on tefillin every day, and Hashem Yisbarach will watch over you and you'll survive. And how could it be that after all that I've been through and I kept the tefillin, that now finally, I'm not going to have them anymore? My father told me that he didn't know what to do, and he felt that he was finished. It was time for Yeyush. So he wrapped them up inside of his shmatas, and he was naked, and he put them on the ground there with everything else. And then they were hitting them, and they went someplace for a while. And they spritzed them with these chemicals. And then they brought them back to some new bunk, and they gave them some new pajamas or something, some new filthy shmatas. And my father said they were passing the fire, and every single thing was in the fire, except he saw that on the edge of the fire was the bag of his tefillin. And he told me he doesn't know, because he wrapped the tefillin into the pajamas. And everything, the Germans are very, very big medaktikim. Nothing is left behind by them. And the tefillin was sitting there. My father looked, a lot of people were there, and my father went and he grabbed and he was wearing these tefillin until around 30 years ago when the ICS couldn't stay anymore on the tefillin. That's a different story. And my father told me this story when it came time for me to put on tefillin. And he didn't tell me the words, V'chazakta v'hiyisa le'ish. He didn't tell me those words, but I saw it in his eyes. Because what the Tzemach Tzedek was saying to Menachem Manish, and what is happening right now in this room and in the world, and what happened by Chanukah, it's all one thing. It's one hishtalshlus. And what is that? By the time of the Yevanim, when Chanukah happened, it was already the end of Nevuah. And the Beis HaMikdash was already mischalel. And for years they couldn't go in. And they would slum him in the Heichel. So we can't even imagine how we felt at that time. How we felt the tohu, the vohu, the choshech, and the sahom. Because there's nothing worse in the world. I was walking in Meir Sharm, and there was a Yid that called out to me. I didn't know who he was, a beautiful, sweet Hasidic Yid. And he saw that I was a little bit fablunged, that I was looking for something, and he asked me if he could help. He knew my name. He said he heard some shiurim from me. He was American. And he asked me could we talk a little bit? And really I just wanted directions. But he also wanted directions. So he asked me, could we talk a little bit? And we walked the whole way. I forgot about the thing I had to get. But he was telling me he's about some of the tzaros he's been through, and he doesn't know if he believes anymore in the Rebbeinu Shalom. This guy with a long beard and payas. He doesn't know if he believes. He says, I have such sfeikis and amunah, it's hard for me to say a word in davening. So we felt that way as a people. And in a certain way, 2 years ago, that horrible Shmini Atzeres, when it happened, I first heard somebody came to whisper in my ear that they heard that there were 400 Jews that were killed. And many Jews were taken, and soldiers were taken hostage. There's that feeling that a person has that Chalila, that the Rebbeinu Shalom is done with you. She'adam magishu mushlach, that he's thrown away. That the Rebbeinu Shalom doesn't care. That the Rebbeinu Shalom is not looking at you. He's not paying attention to you. That your life doesn't mean anything to him anymore. There isn't a person here unless you're somebody that doesn't think, but everybody here has felt at times, mushlach. Ki'ilu, the Baruch Shalom doesn't care about you. And then what happened? So we felt that way by Hanukkah. And it's true, the Pnei Yeshua is right. We didn't have to have a Pach Shem and it's Munah B'chayis Moshe God. We'd have to have this nace. But look what Hashem Yisbarach did. Mitzvahs near Hanukkah. Chavivehi ad ma'od. Because there's nothing that gives you back your neshama. Like that feeling when you thought that the Baruch Shalom is finished with you, that he doesn't love you. Some of you have felt that your wife doesn't love you, that Chalila, your kid doesn't love you. And you know that it's hard to continue on living with that feeling if you feel that. It's hard to go on living. Alachas kama v'kama, when you think the one who created you doesn't think about you, doesn't care about you. And then all of a sudden, somehow in your life you find what? A pach of Shem and Tahar that's munach b'chayis mashakah in garden, untouched. Somehow something happened. My father told me that's what happened that day. My father told me that when I found the tefillin, the Baruch Shalom gave me back my neshama. I didn't care anymore if they were going to kill me, because it didn't make a difference. My father said, it didn't make a difference to me anymore. That's what he told me by when I was putting on tefillin. It didn't make a difference to me because all I cared about was that I'm still with him. He's still with me. And when I found the tefillin, that was my pach. My father didn't say about the sheman, but it was my father saying, that's my jar of oil. It wasn't necessary. It didn't have to be. They could have lit some other oil. They would have, because Tumas Hutter B'tziver. But Kama Mitzvahs Ner Chanukah Chaviva Hi Ad Ma'od Ner Hashem Nishmas Adam. When the Baal Shem HaKadosh came into the world, you all know that it was described by the Nisim, by the Tzaddikim, that the world was in a state of Hisalfus, that the Jewish world was faint, was dying. Because after what happened with the pogroms, and before that what happened to Maisa with Shabtai Tzvi Yimach Shemai, and the way the Jews were living and what was going on, the feeling was that we were mushlachim, that we weren't anymore in Hashem's heart, in Hashem's eyes. And then Yev Kaddish Mishmai Kanachis. And the Baruch Shalom sent the Heilige Baal Shem into the world. Yisrael Asher B'chai Aspire. And the Baal Shem HaKadosh went to every Jew, and without holding up a candle, he held a candle in front of each Jew, and he said to each and every Jew, V'chazakta v'yisel ish. The Baal Shem himself was a nace of Chanukah. That in this world we found a Pach Shem, and it's Munach B'chais, Moshe Karan Gadol, with the Chaisim of the Rebbeinu Shalom, and Mezrit Shemagid, and all the Talmidei Baal Shem, and the Baal Tanya. When there was that Gzeira, where the Baal Tanya was taken to jail, we know that it was a Gzeira that was over the whole Baal Shem HaKadosh, and the whole Chassidus, there was a Gzeira. There was a Sakana. So Kama Chaviva Yud Tes Kislev. Kama Chaviva Mitzvahs Ner Chanukah. What draws you to Tzomah? What's drawing the world to Chassidus? You know, I saw recently in an article, they didn't say the name of this Talmud Chacham, but there was a Talmud Chacham who grew up in the yeshivas, and his Rebbe was the great tzaddik, the Mashgiach, Reb Chaskel Levenstein, Zechat Tzaddik V'Kodesh Levrach. Reb Chaskel Levenstein was his Rebbe, was his Mashgiach. And this didn't say his name, but this particular Ben Torah, this Talmud Chacham, a later point in his life, after he left the yeshiva, he ended up coming to the Chassidim. And he was someplace and he met the Mashgiach, he met Reb Chaskel. Now, you might not know this, but Reb Chaskel actually came from a Chassidish family in Warsaw, from a Gerer Mishpacha. But very young, his life took him to the yeshivas, which is a very holy path, but a different path. So Reb Chaskel asked this Talmud of his, tell me, what did you find by the Chassidim? What do you see by the Chassidim that you didn't find by us? And Reb Chaskel wasn't asking to hack, you understand? He wasn't a hacker. He wanted to know, what did you find by the Chassidim? What is it you're looking for by Tzama that you didn't find by us? I want to know. So this Talmid Chacham told him, Rabbi, I have tremendous hakaras HaTorah for the Torah that I learned in the yeshiva and from the Torah that I received from the Mashgiach, from Rabbi, for my whole life. But when I was sitting in yeshiva, the part of davening I heard that we say every morning, I heard that in the yeshiva, I got a geschmack from those words. Who are we? We're nothing. I heard that in the yeshiva. But Rabbi, with all due respect, it was only when I came to the Chassidim that I got to the end of the tefillah. B'nei brisecha, b'nei avram hayhavcha. And the Talmid Chacham said that Reb Chaskel nodded his head and he understood. We're here because we're living in a dark world. And we began to scream a long time ago, all through the years of Golos, but especially 2 years ago. I'm looking at a Tanya here, and it says on the Tanya, it should be a schus l'chayalei tzahal ha'im demal mishmar atzeinu, that this was dedicated to our dear chayalim, our brothers and sisters that have risked their lives for us and that live every day trying to protect us. And when that took place, when that fell upon us, that chayshach, and we screamed out, Ve'yom Elokim Yehi Or. So listen to the end of Mem Tes in Tanya. The Alter Rebbe writes here, you look at the whole parak, it's a hard parak, you look at the whole parak. K'dei lahalos kulon Hashem im kol ha'olam kuloi u'lekolon b'yichud of Ari Yisbarach asher yoyer la'aretz v'ladorim b'bchinas gilui v'nigla kved Hashem v'ro kol brosa yachtav kipi Hashem diber shezeu tachlis ishtalshlus kol ha'olamis. The tachlis of the ishtalshlus of all worlds is what? Liyos kved Hashem loy kol ha'aretz halazu davke. That the covet of Hashem should fill this dark world davke. Because the whole tachlis of creation is what my father felt that day in Mauthausen. There's a little bit of the feeling that we felt. You remember the that we felt when all the beepers blew up? You remember that day? The that we felt that in the darkness that Hashem was smiling at us. And he said, we don't know how this is going to end. And the war still isn't over. But we saw that Hashem was still with us. That Hashem still loves us. The Rebbe says, the tachlis of all creation, of all worlds, is to transform the darkness into light. Is to find the tefillin over there by the fire. Yiddish Tag and Chassidish Nacht means that's the Ur of Chassidus at the end of time. When the world was falling apart, when we felt so distant from Hashem Yisbarach, and we couldn't continue on. And then Hashem Yisbarach sent the הקודש into the world, and the Ur of Chassidus. And when the Alter Rebbe was freed, Mischadshim, Iris, V'chiyas, Chassidus, the Taras HaChassidus Ba'olam, on this day. Ahabcha Chashuchel Nahira Merira Lamiska Canal. Zel Tachlis Kavanis Sa'odin Ba'abadasa. And this is the tachlis of all of our avodas Hashem. Is lahamshich or ein soif baruch hu lamata. Is to reveal the or ein soif baruch hu davke lamata in a world of tohu vavohu v'choshech and sahoim. And that is the assignment of our generation. And that's why we're here by this event, by Tzoma. That's why when I was growing up Yud Tes Kislev, I would go to Crown Heights to see the Rebbe. I would go to Fabrengens. And there was in Queens, there was a little place on Main Street where there were 10 people that would sit a little bit later on. There was a shliach over there. And now thousands and thousands of people, and go to the Svarim sale. And people are walking around with filled shopping carts of Svarim HaKadoshim. More and more Svarim. The Or and the Chiyas of Chassidus, davke at the end of time. Davke in the darkness. So I want to end with a story that I heard last year when we were together by the Share Summit. I heard from one of the wonderful mashpiyim. We had a group of mashpiyim that were together. We were all there. Shlomo was there. All of us were there together. And I've told this story ever since I heard it. So if I don't say this right, it's because I heard it wrong. But this is what I heard. And I'll end with this. I'm sorry for taking so much time. But this is what I heard. That when the Frierdiker Rebbe Schussler came to America, you all know that he was very zerbrochen and he could barely talk anymore. But he went through Nisim, he was able to be smuggled out of Europe and he came here. So it was around that year, it was either 1949, 1950, at that time. And he wanted to speak. He sent the Garber to go bring a Talmud Chacham that was a young man at that time. His name is Reb Zalman Posner, who I never had the chance to meet, but a number of people that I know have told me about him. I read about him in many places. And the Frierdiker Rebbe wanted to see him. And he came. He was learning, and he came. Now keep in mind that in those years at the beginning, the whole concept of shlichus was still very new. There was already something, but it was still very, very new. They were trying to get back to themselves after the Milchama, before going somewhere. And the Frierdiker Rebbe said to this Reb Zalman Posner that I want you to go to Nashville, Tennessee. Is anybody here from Nashville? Okay. So you remember Rabbi Posner? So he said to Rabbi Posner, I want you to go to Nashville, Tennessee. And Rabbi Posner said the same thing that I said when I was told that I should go to Woodmere. Where's that? Where's Nashville? What's Nashville? And the Frierdiker Rebbe told him that there are Jews over there. There are a few Jews over there, and they need a cheder, they need a mikveh. Now, we're used to these kind of things, but in those days, it was not poshet. And Rabbi Posner just sat there. But he can't argue with the Rebbe. But he was, I think, a young married person. That his family was in Crown Heights. And to go to some Reisgewaffendike shtetl somewhere with a few Jews. So the Frierdiker Rebbe, again, this is how I heard it. So far? It's okay. So this is how I heard it. That the Frierdiker Rebbe, again, it was hard for him to talk. The Frierdiker Rebbe held up his finger. And the Frierdiker Rebbe said like this. Look at my finger, Chavre. And the Frierdiker Rebbe said, holding up his finger, he said, when it comes time for the Nisham to go down, when it comes time for the Nisham to come into the Guf, the Nisham does not want to go. The Neshama doesn't want to go when the Rebbe is showing his finger on top, high up. The Neshama doesn't want to go down. And the Baruch Shalom is giving a little bit of a push to the Neshama. The Neshama doesn't want to go. And the Neshama begins to cry, Vayomer Elokim, Rabbi Shalom, why do you hear? Please, Rabbi Shalom, I don't want to go. Because by you, Rabbi Shalom, it's warm and lichtig. It's warm and it's light. By you, there's or, there's chiyas. There's or and there's chiyas. It's warm, it's warm. And it's lichtig by you. And down there in the world below, it's kalt and finster. It's cold and it's dark. I don't want to go. Please, Vayomer Elokim, Yehi Or. And then the Neshama doesn't want to go, and the Frierdiker Rebbe is showing him, and Rabbi Posner is watching the finger get lower. And the Neshama is being pushed further down, and the Neshama is again crying, please, I don't want to go. But you is warm and lichtig in there. It's so cold and dark. I don't want to go. And the Frierdiker Rebbe's finger goes lower. And Rabbi Posner is watching it going all the way down. And finally, the Frierdiker Rebbe screams out, the Baruch Shalom screams out to the Neshama, as macht over there, macht not, make it over there. In the world that I'm sending you, make it warm and lichtig. Fill the world that I'm sending you to. Fill that world with warmth and with light. Fill that world with warmth and with light. Go to Nashville, Tennessee, and fill it with warmth and with the light of Chassidus. Take the menorah of the Tzemach Tzedek with you. Take the Pach Shemen of Chanukah with you. Take Mordechai's tefillin with you. Take all of our kalim from Golus with you into that place. And make it into a place that's filled with or, with chiyas, with varmkeit, with lichtigkeit, with or, with chiyas. And Rabbi Posner said that many times over the years it was very hard. And he didn't know how he would continue. But at those moments he would close his eyes and he would see the Frierdiker Rebbe's finger traveling, taking that journey from above to below. So, Chevra, we're here at the end of time. And we're beginning to feel some of the warmth and the light of Yud Tes Kislev, of the Baal Shem HaKadosh, of the Tzaddikim. And the Baruch Shalom wants us to bring that into everything in our lives. Because when you enter into this world of Yud Tes Kislev, then it's not just davening, it's the light of davening. There's something called the Or HaTfilah. It's not just Shabbos. Shabbos, Jews always kept Shabbos, but there's the Or of Shabbos. That's something else. When you're with Jews and you feel the Or of Shabbos, you can walk into a certain Jewish home and you see the husband and wife there and you feel the Or of that home. Sometimes you walk into a house in Lo Aleinu, it's kalt and finster. And sometimes you walk into a Jewish home and it's warm and lichtig. Yiddische Tag, Chassidische Nacht. To give a bracha on behalf of all of us. That we should be zeich to feel these chadshas of the oiris and the chiyas of Torah's HaChasidus. To feel the Balatanya carrying us out from that jail, from being hostages in the ugliness and the darkness and the emptiness of the world that we're living in. And to enter into that lichtige, warm world of the Baal Shem HaKadosh. And in that schus, Chevra, we'll be zoiche for what I said at the very beginning. We'll be zoiche that next year, the room that we sat in last year wasn't big enough for this year. They switched the Sfarma now in the other room when we were in this room. And next year, the whole Yerushalayim is not going to be big enough. The whole Yerushalayim is not going to be big enough. And we're going to hear a Maimer and Chassidus from David Malka Mashiach with the Gula Shema Amitis from Hebi Amen Amen Amen.
Did it die, 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 die. Did it die, 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 die. Did it die, yeah, 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 yeah. Did it die, 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 die. Did I die, 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 die. Did it die, 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 die. Did it die, 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 oh. Did it die, yeah, 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 oh. Did it die, 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 oh. Did it die, yeah, 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 oh. Did I die, 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 oh. Did it die, die, oh, yeah, ah, yeah. da Oh
Shkoyach Chevra. We have one more incredible piece of Torah to hear tonight. Take your seats, plug in. All the way from the United States of America, Emir Hashem, he won't be leaving because Mashiach will be here, B'meher v'yameinu. There's a beautiful boy here who brought this phone forward. If anyone lost their phone, Hashavas Aveda, please can you give it to them? Please take a seat for the final Torah of the beginning of the evening as we prepare ourselves. Just a reminder, just outside this room for the first time ever at summer is a special English book sale. Most of the books are already sold out. There you'll find Rav Weinberger, Shlita's Sefer. You'll find Rabbi Dov Ber Pinson, Shlita's Sfarim. We encourage you to please take the Sfarim, to buy the Sfarim, and to have a great night. Please be seated as we hear the final Torah for the evening. Please be seated. We're zocher tonight, as we close off this incredible evening, to go one step deeper, one piece higher, holding on, as Rav Weinberger said, to the Nespach HaShemen, holding on to the Tefillin, and going deeper in that way. Rav Dov Ber Pinson has written over 60 books. Ken Yirbu, may they continue to be written. He is the Rosh Kollel of the incredible Eon Institute, and an amazing scholar, author, Talmid Chacham, and Rebbe to so many. Please be upstanding and give big a round of applause to Rabbi Dov Ber Pinson.
Bershus, Weinberger, Benji, Cher, Michael, and all the Chavra. So, I don't want to give a drasha. Sorry. So it's not going to be a drasha. Which means that there's no beginning and there's no end. So let's see it. It's going to go. It's going to see how it's going to work. And sometime my voice is going to get a little tired. We'll say l'chaim. We'll go weiter. If you're with me or not, it's not so negav. Because there's a chassidish avot that Rav Fabrengen is eine schweigt und alle Herren. Now, what's the definition of a real chassidish Fabrengen? One person is silencing himself in public because it's not so nice to talk to yourself with other people, with no one around. But when there are other people around, it looks like you're talking to everybody else. So really, you're talking to yourself, and everyone else is listening. So first of all, l'chaim. Rav Weinberger talked about one nekuda about Yud Tes Kislev. Yud Tes Kislev, the Rabbi Rashab writes that Yud Tes Kislev is Rosh Hashanah al Teres Achsidus. And in Rosh Hashanah, there's two partsufim on Rosh Hashanah. There's two ways how you can enter into Rosh Hashanah. One is the avodah b'simcha, and one is the avodah b'miriros. It's two different avodas. Some people, their avodah Rosh Hashanah is more miriros. Mina meitzar, korasika. And some tzaddikim taina that Rosh Hashanah should be done b'simcha. You should do it with joy. Because Rosh Hashanah really has two things, two inyanim. It's mishpat. It's serious, that's the mishpat. It's a time of awe, of mishpat. But Rosh Hashanah is also a time of cheres. Rosh Hashanah is the time that avodim are yotzim from avdos. In Rosh Hashanah is a cheres. The cheres means, on one hand, you're being judged, but on the other hand, mitzad the cheres shebedavar, mitzad the freedom, you're untangling yourself from the choshech. And the avodas of tshuva is besimcha, because you're getting rid of those things that are blocking you and holding you down. So we're going to go a little bit more with the kavah simcha. Rishos. Rabbi Shab writes in a letter that Rosh Hashanah is oir v'chayis nafsheinu nitalanu. That Yud Tes Kislev is oir v'chayis. And what's Chassidus? Chassidus is lichtigkeit, is or. What's Chassidus? Chassidus is chayas. You know, they once asked the Rebbe Rayatz, the Fidig Rebbe, they asked him, Shaila, if he can explain what Chassidus is. And he wrote back that he never thought about it. Never thought what Chassidus is about. And then he tries to give an answer, but the oimik of this story is that when you're living something and it's true to you, you don't ask a question. Questions are asked on additional things in life. Life itself doesn't have a question. Some people have questions of life, but most times the shaila is not life itself. It's not, what do I do in my life? I'm alive, have chayas. Now the question is, where do I direct my chayas? How do I get more chayas? Chayas means alive. It's or. The derech HaChassidus is a derech of or. What does it mean to have, what is the derech of or? The path of light, the Lendnika writes this. What does it mean to be the path of or? How does Zayda Zalman Moshe? Some people have heard of him, some people should hear about him. He's a Bavrama Yoshver. So the Friedrich once said on Zalman Moshe that Erveis Chassidus, Versteht Chassidus, means he knows. First he said this is mine is Zalman Moshe. Mine's Zalman Moshe. The Rashab said on this Chassid, mine's Zalman Moshe, he's mine. And then he says Erveis Chassidus, which means he knows a lot, commas. Versteht Chassidus, he understands Chassidus, which is the Eichos, he understands. But then the Friedrich said like this, that he doesn't leave the mimer that he's learning until he's margish, until he senses the or that was present when the Rebbe said the mimer. So, Veis Chassidus, it's a nice thing. You know a lot of things it says in books. Versteht Chassidus is already a higher madrega. But the essence of Toras Chassidus is light, is lichtigkeit. And lichtigkeit means you can't be magdir lichtigkeit. You see some people that are alive, they have oil, and some people are still stuck in choshech. In the Lameds, there was a Yid Rebbe Khan that wrote a sefer called Sefer Erchen. They wanted to write a sefer on all the Erchen and Toras Chassidus Chabad. Like Encyclopedia Talmud, it's the same style. And Rabbi El prepared like an introduction, what he's going to say. But the Rebbe told him that he should take something else from Sichas, which became something that's called Kuntis Yon Shel Toras Chassidus. It's a Kuntis of what is Toras Chassidus. What is it? What's Toras Chassidus? He says that what is Toras Chassidus? There are many different ways to be magder, to define what Chassidus is. You can say Chassidus is another gilui of Pnimis HaTorah. There's a gilui of Pnimis HaTorah from the Zohar HaKodeš. There's a gilui from the Ramak, the Ramban already, from before. And there's a gilui from the Ramchal, the Rashash, the Gra, the big tzaddikim. And then in that time period, there was also another gilui. It's all 1740. There was another gilui, and that gilui was the Torah of Baal Shem Tov. So Pshat is, what is Chassidus? Chassidus is another understanding of life. There's one understanding, another understanding. Chassidus reveals another understanding. And the way it was written about is that Chassidus is either Nishmasa or Nishmasa, or Razan or Derazan. This is the Hakdara, this is the way we are Magder. In Kunus Yom to Toras Chassidus, the Rebbe's Magder says, what is Toras Chassidus? Toras Chassidus is Yechidah Shebenefesh. There's Pshat, which is literal interpretation. There's Remez, allusions. There's Remez, Drush, the Soid. These are all different understandings of Torah. What's Chassidus? Chassidus is the Yechidah. What does it mean it's the Yechidah? What it means is to say that it's Yechidah Shebenefesh, the person's essence of their soul, the essence of their neshama that's connected to Elokus, the Chelik Elokah, the part of our neshama that's always light, that's always knows, that's always clear, that's always connected. This is our pnimis, this is a Yechidah Shebenefesh. Where is Yechidah Shebenefesh Mizbata, where does it show up? Svensich, it depends. For some people, for Anashim Pshuta maybe, Yechidah Shebenefesh shows up in their nefesh, in their maisa. Sometimes you see a person doing a maisa mitzvah with such chiyas, with such connectivity, that you see it's shined by him, it's lichtig, it's illuminated, he's Yechidah Shebenefesh. Where? In the maisa. Another person's Yechidah Shebenefesh is sitting and learning Torah, and his Gila of Yechidah Shebenefesh is in Torah. Another person's in Tefillah. How could Yechidah Shebenefesh be Mizbata? How could it reveal itself in every single prat? Because Yechidah Shebenefesh is the essence that includes all pratim. It's the nekuda that exists with all the pratim. It's not a prat, it's not a detail. There's one Torah, and there's another Torah, and there's another idea. There's prat, remesh, there's different dargas and soid. Then there's the pnimius of that, the Yechidah. So when there's a Gila of Torah Yechidah, which is Torah Shel Mashiach, very simple shaila, we're celebrating Yud Tes Kislev, it's Rosh Hashanah Chassidus, it's not Chassidus Chabad, Chassidus HaKlali. It's Rosh Hashanah Torah Chassidus. What's the connection between a Chassid that's in the derech of Chabad versus, let's say, a Chassid in Breslov or Ishbitz or Vizhnitz, another thing? If you look superficially, you could say, okay, maybe a Levush. Chabad doesn't have a Levush so much. Maybe it's Nagunim. Some Chassidim don't have so many Nagunim. So what connects all these branches that all came from the same Torah, all came from Torah Baal Shem? The answer is that Torah Baal Shem is the Yechidah Shebenefesh. And since it's Yechidah Shebenefesh, it's Mizbata in every single Mahalach, in that Mahalach. So if it's a Tefillah, so you get to the essence of Tefillah. And if it's Torah, if it's Ger or Kotz, it's a Torah, then it's the essence of Torah. Because Chassidus is the Yechidah Shebenefesh. It's not another Torah, it's not another wrinkle, not another kvetch with the finger. Torah Chassidus is the Gila of Yechidah Shebenefesh. And what does it mean to have the Gila of Yechidah Shebenefesh? In everything, there's a... Rav Weinberger said before that one of the reasons why Torah Chassidus was revealed is because the world was in a state of salfos, and this is brought down by many tzaddikim, that the world was in a very dormant, very dark place. And Torah Chassidus, like the mashal from the Alter Rebbe, the Pinchas Karitzer, is like to rub the Keser HaMalchus, the crown and jewel of the king, to maybe a little, tiny little bit would get into the mouth of the person and enliven them. So what's Torah Chassidus? Torah Chassidus is an antidote to darkness. It's like a medicine. People are struggling with Choshech. Comes along the Baal Shem. The Eibusher reveals in the Neshama of the Baal Shem HaKadosh, to reveal Torah Chassidus, and to Maila, I think in Yisrael, that comes along Torah Baal Shem and gives chayas to Klal Yisrael. But there's also another nekuda. That Torah Chassidus, and that's why it's called Oishivas Yomim. It's connected to the Ora Gonuz. It's connected to Ora Chanukah of Lasid Lavi. Because Chassidus is not only a revelation within time, within the present moment, already a few hundred years, that in order to fight darkness, this is this light that came down. Chassidus is the future that's revealed in the present. There's two different nekudas. There's the talich hazman, there's the process of time, and then there's the tachlis ma'aser shemayim v'aretz, which is olam shel schar, the sheish yom, and then the Shabbos. Shabbos is tachlis shemayim v'aretz, which means tachlis is on Shabbos is revealed the tachlis. Kol malachta asuya on Shabbos means that you're not supposed to do any work on Shabbos. It doesn't only mean malacha gashmi, but tzaddikim say that it means also malacha ruchni. Because when a person reaches the level of Madrega of Shabbos and is really experiencing the oil of Shabbos correctly, then nigmar, you're a tzaddik gomer. Kol malach nachsu, you don't have to worry about what tomorrow. Today you're a tzaddik. And you sit and learn or daven on Shabbos. Or eat the Shabbos, you're connected to the oil of La Salave, the tachlis shemayim v'aretz. And when you're connected to tachlis shemayim v'aretz, there's no more avoida. The avoida is when you're in Sheish Yom Ta'avod. But when you get to the tachlis, it's not avoided, the faket. The tachlis is the schar. So what is Torah's Achsidis? Torah's Achsidis was the revealing of the Or of L'Aseh Lavoi into the present. Because there are two types of Giluim. There's one Gilui where the present, the Hoiva, is in the effect of the past. And that's the way Zman runs. Time passes from a past to a present to a future. That's B'chitzoynes Oilamus. In Pnimius Oilamus, it works the other way around. In Pnimius Oilamus, where do you see this? If there's a machloikis between a Tana and an Amoira, you pass him like the Tana. Allah Kabasoi within that time, but it's machloikis Tanoim and Amoraim, you pass him like the Tana. If there's a machloikis between the Rishonim and the Achronim, you pass him like the Rishonim. Why? Because the closer the Tana or the Rishon was to Matan Torah, to the past, the more their presence feeling the Rishon of the past. So the further back you go, the closer you are to the Rishon of Matan Torah. In Torah Sasoid, it works mamish the other way around. In Torah Sasoid, the Gilui of the Mashal of the Arizal is inskabel by Tvutzis Yisrael much greater than the Gilui that came before him, from the Ramak, even from the Rishonim. Or the Gilui of Torah Chassidus that came even after that. Why? L'chura halacha should be like the first. Because when it comes to Pnimius HaTorah, the Roshim doesn't work from the past to the present. The Roshim works that the present is being pulled by the future. So even though we're living in the present, and we don't have Gula, Kipshutai, and Klal Yisrael doesn't Yeshuas, big Yeshuas, on a pratistic level, on a holistic level. But the Or Chassidus gave us an ability to tap into the future in the present. They once came to Chernobyl and asked him, that it says, the Chassidim, original Chassidim, they were either called Karliners or they were called Freilicher. The early Chassidim were called Freilicher. Why? Because Chassidim started Avodah of Simcha. So they came to the rabbis and said, the Gemara says in Brachas, that Ozimol is Chayk Pinu, that also L'Adam Shemal is Chayk Pinu Pidvoilam Haza. A person's not allowed to be joyful. You're not allowed to smile. You're not allowed to dance. You're not allowed to do what we just did. Maybe Yesh Heter, if you're saying Psukim and you say Dvar Torah, maybe. But this whole thing, I don't know if you know, Yezedus didn't have, Avram Frieds. There was no such thing. People didn't listen to music. Eden didn't listen to music. It's certainly Amol, before the Gilui Torah Chassidus. The Gemara says you're not allowed to. They didn't. For Chassan, they played a little music. That's it. Negina is the essence of Torah Chassidus. The essence of Torah Chassidus is Negina. Alter Rebbe said that you cannot know, if you don't understand Negina, then you can't understand Tanya. If you don't have a chush Negina, then you can't open up your neshama. You can't really understand the Or. So there's Negina. So they came to Tainus. So he said, that's true when you live in Elam Haza. And your shoyef, your desire is to get to Elam Haba. But if you already have the oil from Elam Haba already in the present, then forget, you should fill yourself with simcha. So Torah Chassidus is the gilui of the oil of La'asid, the oil of Geula, and the way to properly learn Chassidus, Zvesen Chassidus, Verstehen Chassidus, it's not just to learn the Rebbe Kamas. You have to stop and to be margish, to try to feel the Or that Chassidus is. I said before that the same Zayda was once sitting with an Ein Beis, Tafish Ein Beis from the Rashab, and he was older. He had a stroke, couldn't talk, and he was sitting and holding Ein Beis, and he was crying, and he was kissing the sefer. It was a bichel. It wasn't a proper sefer. They used to have these little pamphlets. And the Bachim was sitting there. They came to Fabrengen with him, but he couldn't talk well. And I heard this from Rabbi El, and he said he was sitting next to Rav Moshe. And he asked Rav Moshe, what did you see in the Maimed that you're so inspired? So he opened up the page, and he showed him with his finger, with his nail, he kratzt in a few words. It says, V'luchas harishonis lo yo'is klal. That's it. Pshat. The luchas harishonis, there's no letters. There's words, and you're reading words. You're reading the words. But every single word, every single dibur that you're speaking is an expression of something that's much deeper. The way things exist in Olam Atzilus is Oyer. Oisius only come in Bria. You can't really explain something. If you want to explain something, you're already magder it. You're mitzamtzim it. You're already constricting it. And Luchas Harishonis, there's a word from Rami Pano that writes that the difference between Luchas Harishonis and Luchas Shnius is that Luchas Harishonis is Pi HaKadosh Baruch Hu Atzmoi, and Luchas Shnius is Pi Eliyahu Hanavi. So steht. Why Eliyahu Hanavi is in the Shaila? Pi HaKadosh Baruch Hu Atzmoi. And Torah Chadash and B'Te Teitzei, we also Pi HaKadosh Baruch Hu Atzmoi. That the Eibusher will give the Torah Chadash and B'Te Teitzei. It says in Sivos HaRivash, in Torah Baal Shem, that Baal Shem once said on himself that there's a Yid in this world that hears Torah Pi HaKadosh Baruch Hu B'Atzmei. There's someone sitting in this world, means Baal Shem meant himself, that is hearing Torah from HaKadosh Baruch Hu B'Atzmei. What is Torah from? That's Torah Datzilus. That's Torah Los Loving. That's the Oyer. That's the Oyer. Oyer v'chayis nafsheinu nitin lanu. We have to connect to the Oyer. Yeah, we have to connect to the Oisius. Someone asked me before, it's a good child, that you say that Yud Tes Kislev is Rosh Hashanah Teres Achsidus, because the Alter Rebbe sat in prison. So why didn't all the Talmidei Maggid sit in prison? What's supposed to the Alter Rebbe? Why the Alter Rebbe was the others sat for a very short period of time, the second time, the Baditchver. But the Alter Rebbe was mainly sat in prison. So what's up with the Alter Rebbe? Why the Alter Rebbe was the one that was sat in prison? There's a lashon, there's a phrase the Alter Rebbe writes in the Geras HaKodeš that ani loy basi lefarish ela toiras habal Shem Tov v'talmidov al pi Arizal. The Alter Rebbe says on himself that what he wants to do in this world, he wants to reveal the Torah, the Oyer of Toiras habal Shem v'talmidov, the Maggid, the Rebbe, and use through the language of the Arizal, or to say it differently, to take the lashon of the Arizal and infuse it with the oil of Torah Chassidus. Kiyadua, there were different mahalchim, there were different paths in Talmidei Maggid. You already told me the Baal Shem, the different paths. The Baal Shem himself, if you can be magder, it's hard to magder Baal Shem, and you really shouldn't, but Fiani is daiti for this situation. The Baal Shem revealed Oyer. If you open up a Sefer Baal Shem, any Sefer Baal Shem, the Baal Shem Tov is never trying to explain, never, but in 95%, never trying to explain a steer in Gemara, or a steer in Torah Sari, or a steer in Psukim. The Baal Shem brings light into this world. There's a revealing of Oyer. Now you have to take the light and put it into every single prat, but the Oyer comes down in Torah Baal Shem, in the rain of Torah Baal Shem. It's pure Oyer. There's no very little oisius, there's very little Lashon Chazal, Lashon Apsukim. There is, but it's very, very little. And God Baal Shem was a huge Talmud Chacham, I don't have to tell you. He used to give a shir every day, for many hours, more in Paskin. But the Torah that he revealed is Torah of Oyer. His Talmud, the Maggid, which is tonight's also the Yemelula of the Maggid. The Maggid, before he came to Baal Shem, the Maggid was already a huge Talmud Chacham. He's a Talmud of Pnei Yeshua, and he was also a big Mekubal. Shat and Mekubal with the klois and broad. He was a Mekubal in the very classic ways that people studied Kabbalah. And the mice is that the Maggid came to the Baal Shem HaKadosh. And he was suffering. And that's the story. Physically, he was also not well. And he came for a trupa, for like a healing. And he came for Shabbos, and this is the story. He came for Shabbos, and he sat there, and he didn't connect it. He didn't connect to the Torah Baal Shem. So Motzei Shabbos, he decided he's leaving. And the Toldos was walking by. The Toldos was walking by and says, what's happening? He said, I'm leaving. I came to the Rebbe. It's not my Rebbe, so I'm leaving. So the Toldos walked into the room where the Baal Shem was sitting. He didn't speak to his Rebbe directly. He started walking around and said, there's a Yid that's sitting outside your door. That's Malakali. How come you're not Makarvim? So Baal Shem picked up his eyes and said, call him in. Call him the Maggid. The Maggid came into the room, and the Maggid told the Baal Shem that I'm leaving. Tonight I'm going, because I didn't find what I'm looking for. So the Baal Shem said, before you leave, if you have any shilas, anything you want to ask. So he said, yeah, I have a shilah. There's a steer in Zohar that I have, and no one really was able to answer me. So the Maggid said over the steer. Baal Shem Tov closed his eyes. And the way the Maggid's matire is that the Baal Shem started talking, and all of a sudden, Nismala Kol Habayis Oira, the whole room became lit. And everything that he was saying was not information. When he was talking about Atzilus, he experienced Atzilus. And when he said the shame of a Malach, he experienced that Malach. And he said, this is my Rebbe. Because what the Baal Shem HaKadosh gave the Maggid is Oir V'chayas Nafshenu. He gave him life. He gave him life. And if you look at the Oimek of Toras HaMaggid, we'll get to the Alter Rebbe. If you look at Oimek Toras HaMaggid, you'll see that Toras HaMaggid, his big chidushim, if you wish, one of the major chidushim of Toras HaMaggid, is that the whole tzimtzum is a joke. Tzipa and the Beres and Tainik Tmidi and Tainik, this is the lashon of the Maggid always, over and over again. That what you think is a tzimtzum, that it's real, and it's harsh, and it's dark, and it does feel dark. He's not saying it doesn't feel dark. But you should know that the mashal that he gives is l'mashal av, that is mesachik ibnoi hakotan, a father that plays with a child. This is a chiddush of a mashal. It's never found before the Maggid. There's always mishalim from the Baal Shem before, where it's a father with a son, he sends him away, that's already an adult. The first time you find a mashal of a father playing with his child, is obviously he had a child, Avraham Malach, it's Toras HaMaggid, which means he gave the Maggid oir. He was able to look at the tzimtzum, and able to look at the constrictions of life, and able to look at the whole Toras Hari. And he was able to find the chayas, the oir v'chayas nafshenu. In Toras Hari, the ikar word that's used over and over and over and over again is amshachas hamoichen. Anytime a person does a mitzvah, you mamshech moichen. Zoyrampen, malchus, you always mamshech moichen. From bina, from chachma, from avah, higher, you always mamshech moichen. The avoid of a yid is to draw down moichen. This lashon is not found in Toras Baal Shem. In Toras Baal Shem, it's chayas. It's life. They're not arguing. It's not an argument, it's not a steer. One is using the oasis of moichen, and one is using the oasis of oir. The Alter Rebbe wanted to mishalev the oir of the Baal Shem with the moichen of the Maggid, or to say different, the moichen of the Arizal. To mishalev these two Torahs, because you can have oir, but it doesn't necessarily mean you have moichen. And you can have a lot of moichen, unfortunately, and have no oir. There are people that are bucky in all kavanas arashash. You know such people. Kenzan, it's you. And they know exactly where everything flies. But there's no oir. And there's some people that don't never open the Rashash, don't know what it is, never heard of the Rashash. and they're full of oil. What did the Alter Rebbe want? The Alter Rebbe wanted Meshalev, the Torah, the oil of Torah Baal Shem, with the moichen, the intelligence of Chabad, of his Rebbe, the Maggid, and going back to Ari. That's why it's brought up in Ramach Hoisius, that the Baal Shem was more kusher to the Ramak, and the Maggid is more kusher to Ari. Because in Torah Ramak, it's about Hoisius, and it's about Gvanim, different. The Ari, to use, is more about moichen. The Ari actually writes in Shar Rashbi that he could have done another way. Chaim Vital said that my Rebbe could have done the other way, but he didn't. The point is that it's moichen. What's Torah Chassidus? Let's understand this. Torah Chassidus, is everyone following me? Okay, whoever's following is, whatever, if you don't, this is oir. This is Luchar Shishaynis Loyosis Klal. It's not negate what I say. If you feel it, you feel it. You know, just open your heart. We'll figure out the moichen for another day. The Torah Chassidus, which is pshat, is that it's yichidish b'nefesh, is not oir and it's not moichen. Because if it's oir or it's moichen or it's anything, then it's not the thing in itself. It has to be something that has everything. That has to have moichen, and it has to have oir. Chavuka dvuka bach b'atzmusach. There's a lashon of Rashab. That's Torah Chassidus, atzmus. And in the chibur of a yid with atzmus, with atzmusi yisbarach, sometimes you have moichen, sometimes you don't. But you're always connected. There's a lashon in the Ramaz al Zohar HaKadosh. The Rebbe God brings down a Maimer in Yad Gimel on Purim, that there are four. We always think about that there are two ways to be in this world. Either there's Gilui Ponim, or there's Hester Ponim. Either there's Gilui, there's Hastaras Ponim, or there's a Gilui Ponim. But the Ramaz writes that there's actually two madregas in between. To get from Ponim to Acher, there's Yamin and Smoil. So more the word. Because we think that Yamin is Ponim. And we think Smoil is Acher. We say, if the Eibush is showing me chsadim, and my life is working out, and everything is geknakt, that's Pnei Hashem. I have a relationship with Pnei Hashem. And when I feel gvuras, that's Pon Aloyerev, chas v'shalom, it's Acher. But it's not true. There's Yamin, Smoil, and then Acher. You know what Pona means? Pona means, you ever spoke to somebody and they're telling you everything what they're saying? They're saying words and their mouth is moving, but they're not there? Has that ever happened to you? Or maybe you were not there, and you don't remember that you were there. It's also shayach. Some people can be living in the same place. You can be a bacher in yeshiva, you can be in the same dormitory, and you can know exactly how the schedule of your chavrusa, when he gets up, what he's learned, everything, but you actually never faced them ponim upon him. You never had a real relationship with him. Ponim upon him means that's atzmus. Ponim upon him means that I'm connected with you, not in yamin. Yamin feels better. It feels much better. And small doesn't mean that Hashem Kadosh Baruch Hu is doichas. Pnei Hashem, Torah Chassidus, is the pnimius, is the essence, is the nekuda of everything. It's the ponim of everything. To be in relationship with the ponim, with the Pnei Hashem. Rav Weinberger spoke before about Hanukkah. There's a very interesting thing that happens on Hanukkah. The original Hanukkah, the Gemara of Avodah says, happened in Tekufas Tevis. It got very long the days, then it got very short, then it got very long. So Elam Chashach Ba'adi, Adam Rishon saw that it's getting darker and darker, said the world's going to get dark for me. And he cried and wailed for days. And then he when it started becoming lighter, he made a simcha. That's the original Hanukkah. There's one Talmidei Abel Shem makes a cheshbon exactly that on the night of Leil Chanukah, on the night of the Nes Chanukah, it was Tkufas Tevis. He does a cheshbon, but the reason why it's important, the cheshbon, is because it wasn't Tkufas Tevis, and it wasn't the longest night of the year, so they would have a little bit for the next night. How did they make the Pach Shemen? They took for the longest night of the year. They said the longest night is, let's say, 14 hours, and they made a Pach Shemen 14 hours. But if that night was only 13 and a half hours, because it wasn't the longest night of the year, they don't have a half hour for the next day. It says, so he's a raya that it happened in Tkufas Tevis. You know what happens in Tkufas Tevis? I don't know if it's a Bacher thing. I'm most here Bacherim. You know when Shabbos starts getting earlier? You familiar with this? Shabbos gets earlier and earlier and earlier. There's a certain yach. I don't want to say anxiety chasashon, because that's mamish klipa. But there's a certain yeshiv mitzapa. Okay. And then Shabbos starts getting later. You feel a little relaxed. Is this a normal sensation you have? Berach? What happens when Shabbos doesn't move? In New York, it's 4:11. One Shabbos is 4:11. The Shabbos before that is, let's say, 4:13. Okay, 2 minutes. Okay, a little more lachatz. The next two Shabbosim, it's going to be already 14. Okay, a little relaxed. What happens if you look at the calendar and it's 4:11 and 4:11? What do? You go Meshuggah. Why? Because we know only ups and downs. We feel good when we're going up. You mean? We feel bad when we're going down, but at least we feel. What happens when you stop feeling? That's the problem. Not that you're feeling down, because you're feeling down and you're still feeling that you're feeling down. That means there's still life in you. So now you're feeling down, and you're gonna figure it out. You're gonna find the pach echad. But when there's no movement, we have to connect, and this is always we're connecting to the Pnei Hashem, not Yamin, not Smoil, not Acher. The Pnei Hashem. The Pnei Hashem means that I am living my life in conversation, in dialogue, in connection, in dveikus with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Always. I feel down, I feel up, doesn't matter. Zvina Hashem Nitzav Olav. There's a Malachim Oidem Yoidem Boy, but then there's Hashem Nitzav Olav. I have this conviction. And this conviction, when I have this conviction, I can live this way, Pnei Hashem, and I can connect it to Pnei Hashem, then I feel, whatever I'm feeling, I can feel the oil. And this is a little bit what Torah Chassidus wanted to reveal to this world, is not only to wake us up, which is gewaldic, we should wake up. It's a gewaldic thing to be awake. But to live with the Oyer Agula, to be moishech from the Oyer Agula, from the future. That instead of thinking yourself, sorry, I'm going to say one more thing. Do you need to go? I feel bad. Oh. I saw a Modna Shaila. The Rebbe Lubavitcher asked the Shaila about Yud Tes Kislev, which I thought was an interesting Shaila. He said, in Lu Yitzur, let's say the Alter Rebbe didn't go out of prison. It was different from Beis Asur. What happens if the story didn't end well? Alter Rebbe was there. Rahman al-Islam, whatever happened, he stayed in prison, whatever happened, it didn't end well. What would have happened? He said, you wouldn't have Torah Chassidus? Ken Zion, but he said something else. He said, no. He said, Yidden are always good at Mesiras Nefesh. We know how to do Mesiras Nefesh. In fact, every time there's a Gilui, there has to be Gilui Matan Torah, so there has to be Korah Barz, there has to be Mitzrayim, there has to be Gilui of Torah Shabbat Peh and Purim, so there has to be Halik Kibua. Okay. So, look, yeah, they say I should stop speaking. Let me just say this word. The word is that without Yud Tes Kislev, we be connected to the oil. We have to. We would find ways to connect the oil, but it'll come through such hardship. It will be nikna b'yisurim. So the Alter Rebbe coming out of prison, and the Gilui Torah Chassidus allowed people to experience Torah Chassidus without the yisurim, without the darkness. So the Eibusher should help. I'm going to end. The Eibusher always helps. We should help ourselves. Allow the Eibusher to help us to be connected to the oil, to live with chayes, and over chayes nafshenu, we should have a gewaldige Lashon HaTorah, Ksevach, Ksevach, Limit HaChassidus, Dark HaChassidus. L'chaim, l'chaim.
Shkoyach to close the night, we're going to have one nigun where we sing. We've got the opportunity to take the incredible words of Torah from Rav Pinson, from Rav Weinberger. Let's put our hearts and souls in the Rav Shlomo Katz, with one final nigun as we close off this beautiful evening.
Rikoisin lachem bracha, ad belindai, ad belindai, ad belindai, ad belindai, dai, dai, dai. Rikoisin lachem bracha, ad belindai, ad belindai, ad belindai, ad belindai, dai, dai, dai. Ay, ad she'im lo seim sesem, elai, dai, dai, dai. Geula, soll schon sein die Geula, Mashiach soll schon kommen, soll schon sein die Geula, soll schon sein die Geula, soll schon sein die Geula, Mashiach soll schon kommen. Lai 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 lai, oh, lai 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 lai, oh, lai 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 lai, oh, lai 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 lai, hey.